Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Michaela, and as you guys can see by the title of this video, I figured I would sit down and share with you guys like a Q&A style video about being a military spouse. So for those of you that don't know, I am a military spouse. I have been for quite some time, and I don't know why I've never done this style of video. I just haven't, and I don't even know if this kind of thing is still something that people watch, but I figured since I have been a spouse for quite some time, I would share with you guys like my experiences, my thoughts, and just answer some common questions that maybe some new spouses might have. So yeah, I have a list of questions. So if this is something that you guys want to watch, I'm gonna answer a bunch of questions. So let's just dive right into it. Also, I did film this a couple days ago and I decided to redo it just because I kept thinking, like after watching the cups back, I was like, oh, I wish I would have like added this into the answer, this, and I kept forgetting things that I wanted to say. And it was really like gloomy and cloudy out, so the quality wasn't the best. So hopefully this time around, it's a lot better. Okay, so question number one is, how did you and your husband meet? So we met in school. We've known each other since the 8th grade, and we went to middle school and high school together. We were not high school sweethearts, even though everyone's like asks if we are. We did not date in high school. We weren't even really friends in high school. We just knew each other because we were the best together. We went to school together, and we didn't actually start like talking and hanging out until about a year after we graduated. We ran back into each other and we started talking and forming a friendship, and then we eventually started dating. But yes, we met each other in school. Question number two is, how old were you both when you got married? We were both 20 years old. Like I said, we went to school together, so we were in the same grade, and we were both 20 years old when we got married. We were very, very young. How long have you been married? We've been married for over 6 years. So November 29th will be our 7-year wedding anniversary, which I cannot believe it's already been that long. We've been together for 7 years though, but we've been married for over 6 years. We got married very, very fast, but the end of November will be 7 years. Did you get married before or after your husband joined the military? So we got married after he joined the military. He had already been in for a couple years actually. He signed in when he was 17. I'm pretty sure his mom had to sign him in because he was technically like not a legal adult, but he had been in, gone through basic, and did his first deployment, and then when he got back is when we started dating. So we didn't go through the whole like basic training or anything or having to be a part because he had already been in for a couple years. Where are you both originally from? We are both from Oregon. What branch of the military is your spouse in? He is in the Army. Where are you stationed? So we are stationed in Texas. I'm not going to share what duty station we're at just for privacy reasons, but we are currently in Texas. Do you live on post? We do live on post. We've done on post and off post. So when we first got married, we lived in an apartment off post. It was like a tiny little like box of an apartment. Like I'm pretty sure it was the size of our living room. It was so small, but we really didn't have anything, so it wasn't a big deal. And then our second duty station, we were on post, but it was like on post, off post. So it was kind of nice because it didn't feel like it was directly on post. And then this time we are on post, which I can't wait to get our own place. When we go to our next duty station, we're planning on buying a home, unless where we're at is like really, really expensive, but we are definitely planning on purchasing a home. And I'm so excited to just like have a home that's not on post and that we can just call and make our own. And I'm just so excited for that. Also, I don't know if this is still a thing, but with the Army, we call bases posts, and every other branch in the military, I think, calls it a base. I don't know if they've changed that or not, but as far as I'm like aware, we still call it post, but it's base. It's the same thing. Where all have you guys been stationed? So we have been stationed here in Texas, in Hawaii, and then back here in Texas, the same place that we were first originally stationed, and not very eventful, except for Hawaii. Hawaii was so much fun. If you guys have like the chance to be stationed in Hawaii, I would highly, highly recommend it just because it's Hawaii, first of all, but it's so beautiful. The beaches are amazing. The hikes there are phenomenal with the views and everything. The food is great. The culture is really cool to learn about too. I've met some of my best friends that I still keep in contact with there. And it was just an all around great experience. I will say our last year, we were kind of like, we had a little bit of island fever, so we were ready to get off the island. But for the most part, we really enjoyed our time, and it was just an overall like really great experience. If you could pick anywhere to be stationed, where would it be? So I have a few places that I would want to be stationed at. If we go overseas, obviously like I would want to do Germany. My husband the other day, he was like, I want to get stationed in Korea. And I was like, why? Of all places, like why? I would love to be stationed in Germany just because it's so small and you can go to different countries. You can go to Spain or Ireland or Italy. And I just think it would be such a fun experience because it's Europe, hello. If we got stationed here stateside, I personally would love to get stationed in Florida, even though I know there's no Army post that is technically in Florida. I know sometimes you can get stationed at like a different branch of the military space. I think Air Force and Navy, sometimes you can get stationed there, but it's very, very rare. If not there, I would say somewhere in the Midwest, like Kentucky area, just because I love the Midwest. I love just like the chill vibes. So somewhere probably in the Midwest would be my next choice. I mainly just want to go somewhere that I haven't been before, which obviously we haven't gone anywhere overseas besides Hawaii, and I've never been to Europe, so that would be fun. But I just want to like go somewhere, if we were to go stateside, somewhere that we haven't been before besides Florida, because I love Florida personally. But I've been to Colorado and it's beautiful over there, but like I said, I just want to experience something new. And then being from Oregon, I really have no desire to go to Washington or California because I've been there a bunch of times. So somewhere definitely new that I haven't been before. Okay, so next question is, do you utilize stores on post or base like the Exchange or commissary? So since we live on post, if I need to go get something like really quick, I will go to the Exchange, which is the Exchange is like, or the PX is like the Air Force's version of like the BX, I think is what they call it. So it's kind of like your Walmart style of store type of thing. But I don't go there too often unless I said like I need just like something really quick. For the commissary, I don't really go grocery shopping there. Just for me personally, I don't really like their variety, and the few times that I have gone, their produce isn't the best. So whenever I go grocery shopping, I either go to HEB, which if you're from Texas, you know HEB is where it's at. It is like the end all be all of grocery stores. Or I'll go to Aldi's a lot of times just because they're so cheap, and I love a good like Aldi's grocery haul. You save some money when you go there. So yeah, those are kind of where I go. Okay, question number 12 is, have you been to your spouse's promotion ceremony? And I have. I've been to multiple of his and have had the opportunity to pin him at a couple of his. I will say though, they are very uncomfortable just because you have a group of soldiers just like staring at you the whole time, and it's not the most comfortable situation to be in. Personally for me, I don't like a bunch of people staring at me, but I have got to experience and be a part of a couple of his. Do you work, and if so, is it hard constantly having to find a job every time you PCS? So I do work, but I work kind of like from home-ish, and I work for myself. I'm a freelance makeup artist, so I have a studio in my home that I work out of, or I work with other photographers and go to their studios. So I don't have like a traditional job. But in the past, I have worked like a traditional job in retail or like in the medical field, and I haven't really ever struggled finding work, I would say. The only time that I say that I struggled finding a job is when we first moved back here. Before I decided that I wanted to freelance, I was looking for jobs, and I was looking for jobs in areas that I had a lot of experience in. So I had a lot of experience in retail. When we lived in Hawaii, I worked for a specialty medical center. So I had a lot of experience with front desk work. And I applied to a bunch of different jobs, but I just didn't hear back from anybody. And I think that's just because the area that we're at, we live on a very large army post, and the town isn't the largest. There's not like a lot of like, there is a lot of work, but there isn't. But there's just such a high population here that it's very hard to find work. At least this time around it is. I would say that's the one time that I struggled finding work. And in the past, when I have like interviewed for jobs and whatnot, I've always like in the back of my mind been worried that, and I don't know if any of you have experienced this, but I've always been so worried that they're not going to hire me because I'm a military spouse and they know that I'm going to up and leave in a couple years. So there would be times in the past when I would interview and they'd be like, oh, you know, when are you planning on moving? And I wouldn't lie, but I would be like, oh, in a few years, just because I didn't want to be like, oh, I'm leaving in like a year and then them not hiring me, which I'm pretty sure they can't do because that's discrimination, I think. I would always like worry about that, but I never had trouble finding a job when I did interview, except for this one time around. But obviously, like, I'm not working a traditional job anymore. Okay, so the next question is, have you gone through your spouse deploying? So I have. My husband's been deployed twice, but I've only dealt with one of them, really. And so the first one, we were just like friends and talking, so we weren't dating or anything. But the second time, he deployed last year right before COVID hit, so it was tough. It was very, very tough, but I've been through one deployment. Next question is, how did you get through a deployment? So like I said, last year he deployed right before COVID hit, and it was rough. Oh my gosh, it was so rough, just because literally after he left, everything kind of just like shut down. I didn't really have a whole lot of friends here. My one friend did go back home because her husband was deployed. So I was literally out here by myself with nothing to do. And I just had to find ways to stay busy, honestly. I really got invested into YouTube and I started vlogging a lot and editing. And I found that I just had like a passion for that. And it was just personally fun for me. I would do little DIY projects. I would read, I would do art. I just had to come up with ways to keep myself busy. I did notice that when I didn't have stuff to do, that's kind of when I started getting bored and lonely, and the depression kind of started seeping in, because there's only so many shows on Netflix that I could watch before I get bored, just because there was nothing else to do, and it was just really tough. But I would say, like, COVID like aside and all that, if your spouse is like deployed and whatnot, find some friends, find a hobby, get passionate about something. If you can get a job just to keep yourself busy and get yourself like out of the house if you can. I know that's not always easy if you're like a mom and have kids, but if you can find like other mom groups and go to the park and stuff like that, just find little things that can keep you busy while they're gone. And it makes the time go by a lot faster. Next question is it hard to meet people or make friends being a military spouse? So with this, I would say it's not hard to meet people because there's tons of like local Facebook pages for spouses where they can do like coffee meetups, and there's constantly people that are like looking for friends or wanting to like do stuff together. I would say that it's not hard meeting people. I would say that it's hard to make friends, if anything. And just for me personally, I've gone to like a lot of meetups. I've met multiple spouses, especially in what I do with makeup. I'm constantly meeting spouses and whatnot. Everybody that I've met when I've gone to these meetups, they're super great and everything. We'll hang out a couple times, but you know how like over time you start to get to know people more and more. And there's just been times where I've met people and they're really great gals and they're super sweet, but we just don't click on everything. And I just realized, you know, they're not really my cup of tea, and that's okay. You don't have to be friends with everybody. That's one thing that I've learned as I've gotten older is you don't have to be everybody's friends. Obviously you can be nice and cordial and friendly to people. There's no reason for you not to be, but you don't have to be friends with everybody. And I've just found as I've gotten older, it's harder to find friends that share similarities with me and like values and things that I'm interested in. Especially like on the spouses page, I see like a lot of gals that will like say that they're looking for a friend and they'll put their interest down. And a lot of them will be like, I enjoy like my hobbies are drinking and watching Netflix. And you know, that's cool. When I was younger, that's what I was doing all the time too, was drinking a lot and not really doing much. But for me personally, like as I've gotten older, that's not really what I'm interested in. I don't really feel like sitting on the couch and drinking. I look for meaningful relationships where I can have in-depth conversations and really connect with people on a deeper level, even though that kind of sounds like super cliche, but that's what I'm looking for in friendships now. And we have similar values and we can get along on different things and have those open and honest conversations. And so yeah, for me personally, as I've gotten older, it is harder for me to find friends that I can share similarities with. There's so many people out there, you know, you just got to put yourself out there. A lot of times I would find like friends of mine in the past, I would find through church, and work was a big one too. That's just me personally sharing my story. Okay, so next question is, what is the hardest part about being a military spouse? For me, the hardest part is not being around family and feeling like I'm missing out on a lot of things and milestones. That is what's definitely most difficult for me, especially like, for instance, with my nephew, he's 6 and I've never been to one of his birthday parties or celebrated his birthday with him, which I know like isn't even a big deal and he's not even gonna remember half of that. But for me personally, like missing out on watching him grow up in person is what's really difficult for me, and missing out on stuff with my family and holidays and literally having to live all that through a phone screen and FaceTime all the time. It's really, really difficult for me. And I feel like I've done pretty good for the most part. But there are times, like I said, when holidays come around, when birthdays come around, that I wish I was there, that I'm not there. And I feel like I do miss out on a lot of stuff, but I don't always express that or like let anyone know that it's hard for me, just because I did choose this lifestyle. I did get married young when a lot of people didn't approve of Dag and I getting together. So I don't ever want anyone to be like, well, you chose this lifestyle. So I do keep a lot of that stuff sometimes in when I'm feeling sad about it, to be honest. And that, I think most military spouses can agree with me on that, you know, you're not around your family. A lot of people don't live nearby where they're from. And so they do miss out on a lot of stuff with family, and it is tough. So is your spouse doing the full 20? So by full 20, I assume this means just like doing the 20 years and retiring, which is the amount of time that you have to do if you want to get like the full benefits within the military. At first, he wasn't going to. He was just going to do a couple years and get out. But as we've gone on and he's kept re-enlisting and re-enlisting, he's at that point where it's like he's really got to decide if he wants to stay in or not. And I think right now, like as of right now, he's planning on it just because it makes sense. We're wanting to start a family soon and whatnot. It just makes sense for us right now. If Dagan were to get out, I think he would do either the reserves or the National Guard so that he can continue on and get his benefits eventually. But I think as of right now, he's planning on staying in. Do you plan on having children while your spouse is in the military? So as I kind of stated previously, we are wanting to have a family within the next year or so. And so we would be having a family within the military. And it's just smart to do that too, because everything is paid for and it's just easier that way. And we're also just at a point in our lives where we're ready to start a family, which we're really excited about. So yes, we are planning on having children while he's in. Okay, and then the last question is, what is one piece of advice that you would give to a new military spouse? So the one piece of advice that I would give is you gotta find out like what you want to do with your life, I guess I would say, because a lot of people in this community get married so young. I know Dagan and I got married so young that we were still trying to figure out who we were as individuals on top of figuring out how to come together within a marriage and a union and, you know, go down that path together. And it was really, really difficult. We had a lot of like dark years that we had to get through. And I could honestly say that if we didn't have God in the center of our marriage, we might not even be together today. To be completely honest, we just went through a lot of dark times because we were just trying to figure out what we wanted as individuals, let alone being together. And it was very hard. And I think a lot of people in this community, they get married so young and then they realize they maybe want different things and whatnot. And so having God at the center of our marriage really, really helped us. So I would say, if anything, and even if you are married, figure out your hobbies, your interests, whether, you know, you want to go back to school, whether you want to start a small business, any hobbies that you have, just like, I guess, figure out what you want to do and go after that and try your best not to be your spouse's shadow, if that makes sense, because it's so easy for us spouses to get kind of thrown on the back burner with the military, especially with us. The Army always comes first and it always will come first as long as Dagan is in. And I knew that going in and I'm okay with that. But I do my best not to get overshadowed by that because it is really easy to just get wrapped up in the mundane, doing the same thing and then every couple of years moving and then doing the same thing and then every couple of years moving and feeling like you can't get a hold of your life or what you want to do because you have to uproot every couple of years. And that's one thing that I have definitely struggled with and continue to struggle with, but I've accepted it more and adapted more especially. So just figure out what you want in life and your goals that you want and try your best to align them with your spouse and you guys get on the same page, but also go after your own dreams too, because even though you're married together, you're allowed to have your own aspirations and dreams as well, and encourage your spouse to go after their dreams as well. I'm always encouraging Dagan to keep pursuing, keep pushing. You know, he's going to school right now and getting his degree while he's in. I'm so proud of him. And so we're constantly just like pushing each other to, you know, do better and achieve our goals and dreams. So I know it's like a couple different things mashed into one, but I hope that helped you guys. And hopefully that gives you some kind of advice for those of you that are newly married or aren't newly married or just watching this because. So anyways, you guys, that is the end of this video. Hopefully I answered some questions that you guys were interested in answering. The light is significantly changing right now because it keeps getting cloudy outside. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have any other questions too, feel free to let me know in the comments below. Let me know if you're a military spouse, and if I get enough questions, I can maybe do like another video. And yeah, so anyways, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!